Goodmanson curls it in, and he goes all the way through. And Genoa have taken the lead on 20 minutes with the first goal of the new year. And it's scored by Albert Goodmanson, direct from a free kick.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 107, and we are hosts Matt
and Jake,
here to discuss Matchday 19, which means exactly the halfway point of the Serie A campaign.
And it's been absolutely mental so far. This weekend specifically, the top two teams barely won against the bottom two teams, bro.
A lot of controversy as well, man. A lot of VAR decisions, a lot of goal line technology being utilized as well. A lot of drama and a lot of controversy this week.
And a lot of shithousery as well. You had, for example, Dybala stepping up to take his penalty and Koop Miners moving the ball onto the spot for him. Dybala converts the penalty, gets the ball, runs up to Koop Miners and just tosses it at him. I'd love to see that stuff.
You had Mancini taking down
the
CDK.
The most aggressive man in the league, absolutely choking out the most timid boy in the league.
100%.
It was hilarious. And those games were incredible though. The Juve and Inter games were unbelievable.
Yeah, but drama until the very end, man. Our goal of the week was Albert Goodmanson. His opener, that was the first goal of 2024 in Serie A. Yeah, it was the opening goal in the Bologna-Genoa game. Free kick angled for a cross. However, he went for a goal with a low curling strike, kind of like an inbound and in-swinging cross shot. A player did very well to duck under the ball. Vogliaccio, distract the keeper, and it went into the far corner. Honourable mentions are Pellegrini, who surprised everyone by stepping up to take that free kick.
Especially the commentator.
Well, instead it's brilliant goal by Pellegrini. I love that commentator.
I love him too.
He got so confused.
He got so jaded by that. He was really expecting Rovella there.
Yeah, and you know, Pellegrini hasn't been starting many games. It's typically Marusic and Lazzari, but suddenly they've got this left footer bending it like Beckham. Vecino's winner was a juicy one. A lot of technique to score that goal.
Of course.
Vecino, it seems like he only scores winners, man?
Yeah, man. He's about that life, you know.
Big game player.
Quite a forgettable player, to be honest, Vecino, when it's not a big moment, in my opinion. for me, I mean, I know I just clarted him for no reason, but you know what? I mean, he never stands out to me as a great player, but then in these big moments, he comes out massive, and that's what you need in these. Recently, I was watching that. I knew I was going to mention it on the podcast. I almost challenged myself to not, and I'm mentioning it in the first 10 minutes. The Netflix show, man, The Captains of the World. It is incredible.
Because he's Uruguayan, eh?
Yeah, he's Uruguayan. Yeah, but he's
Uruguayan.
He's not in it. However, I'm just saying that there are certain personalities and certain players that always perform on the big stage.
Ochoa.
Sarah mentioned to me, because she's watching it with me, and she was like,
do the voice.
She was like, it's crazy. I've heard all these names before. And there's a reason you've heard all these names before, because these are the names. These are the people. If you've heard the name of the player, he must be very good. He must be very hungry. He must be so hungry that he has made his name so massive that you've heard it. And you're not even interested in football, you know? And the World Cup is, and these tournaments, Champions League, and all this is where these players step up. And I feel like having Vecino in your team, man, is actually quite useful. For Lazio, for example, you never know, man, when they're going to need him. Imagine against fucking Bayern Munich, man.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
You know who used to be a player like that, a player of only big moments? Giroud.
Yeah.
Giroud used to be that player, even in the Premier League and for France, even in the beginning at Milan. He was Captain Clutch as well. We used to call him Captain Clutch for Milan. Yeah. But now he's found a little bit more consistency. Okay, he just had a drought, which is now broken. But he is a bit more of that consistent figure.
He's more of a domestic hitter nowadays. He wasn't always that, basically.
Exactly. We've had the Coppa Italia since we last spoke. Okay, I know we mentioned Milan's victory over Cagliari, the 4-1, where they had 4 youngsters starting, but the only update we have since then is that Juve beat Salernitana 6-1.
Crazy goals. Yildiz Wea, the goals were mental.
Yildiz is an animal, bro. Yildiz is a fucking monster, and in a couple of seasons' time or next season, Juve are gonna have, when Chiesa inevitably gets injured, they're gonna have Yildiz on one side and Solé on the other, and sign me up, bro.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'm going to be watching them. But Juve won 6-1, which means they've advanced to the next stage. They're playing this Thursday and they're facing Frosinone. I believe that game is at 9 p.m. As we record this, which is Tuesday, 9th January, in around an hour's time, we're going to be seeing Fiorentina facing off against Bologna in what is, well, in the Serie A, a battle for 4th spot and a battle for Champions League. And a derby, naturally. The day after, on Wednesday at 6, there's the Derby della Capitale between Roma and Lazio, and then followed by another derby in Milan-Atalanta. That obviously, the region of Lombardy can be, and the history of the clubs, can be viewed as a derby as well. So this really is the stage now in Serie A. And in football in general, where now the Champions League is going to be a round of 16 and onwards, same as the Europa League. We have the Coppa Italia quarterfinals, Serie A more than halfway through. It's in full swing now. This is when you're at the edge of your seat, you know?
Absolutely, man. If you look at the table, it's tight. Like, you look at Lazio, who had been practically written off from the top 4. You realize how early it is in the season, how everything is still there for the taking. You know,
Frosinone, who are off to a flying start, you see how dangerously close they still are to relegation.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the table right now, for example, let's open it up here. You've got 4th spot.
You always win yourself sometime when you're opening the table.
Like in 9th place, you've got Napoli with 28 points. In 4th place, you've got Fiorentina with 33.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 11th place Monza with 25 points are technically still in the running for a 5th place finish, which could get you Champions League.
Yeah.
In theory, yes.
Yeah. Genoa can still get relegated for all we know. Who the fuck knows, you know?
No.
You know what I think? And I will bet you €5 on air. I'm not going to bet a kit. Because
you won't keep your promise?
Yeah, because I used to bet kits willy-nilly, apparently. Bet a
if
kit
you listened in season 1, you'd know that Matthew,
Verona,
till today, owes me 2 kits.
Yeah, I said that. I'll owe you a kit if Sassuolo finish ahead of Verona this season. The classic battling for 9th spot, those two back then. I bet you this bet is actually about Verona. I bet you Verona will get relegated this year, finishing dead last.
I'll take that bet on.
Dead last.
I don't think they'll finish dead last.
You don't think they'll finish dead last?
I
think they will. I think my rationale behind this is that obviously they're going bankrupt. They have a serious problem financially. And they're going to start offloading players. Terracciano to Milan is a done deal for nothing, bro. €1 million.
1 million, was it?
I believe it was 1 million.
Okay.
Fact check while I keep explaining my rationale. Now Milan are flirting with the idea of Ngonge, and I just feel like whatever chance they can get to make a quick buck, they're gonna take, even if it means they go down to Serie B and they're the last Verona team standing. I believe that they'll do it, man.
Yeah, it's 5 million, by the way. It's 4 million up front and 1 million in bonuses. And Verona have 10% resale.
I must have just seen the 1 million bonus part.
Yes, their owner is going bankrupt, but the club's falling into a hedge fund or into whatever, the secondary owner or beneficiary that takes over or whatever. I don't know if they'll finish dead last. I certainly think they'll be getting relegated, but dead last, I don't know. I'll gladly put €5 on it. Why not?
€5. I've written it down, so we shan't forget. And if we do, please remind us, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, rate, date, chat, eat, pray, love, live, love, laugh. As always, guys, share our podcast, show it some love, send us a DM. We're very active on that front. And don't forget that we've also got Patreon For just $3.99 a month, you could really help us grow and help us invest into the studio that we're currently putting together. It's a financial struggle, as I'm sure you all know, and every little helps naturally.
Absolutely. And we've also got a shop there where you can buy some of the artworks in digital form. So you can buy them for €3 each. Basically, it's a minimum amount on Patreon. Or you can become a patron and they're all free. And you can download them all and use them as your wallpapers or print them and make posters, whatever.
There you go.
I would like to thank our patrons so far. We've got Ed, Alan, Andy, Lena, Jose, Mint, Mike, Matteo, Matthias, Luca, Anthony, Michael, David, Kyle, Andrew, Slooge McNoodle, and Tim Warner. Thank you very much, guys. You are the spotheads. You are what keep this show going.
Yep, I want to particularly thank Slooge McNoodle for adding a bit of spice to those boring-ass names. I think those are the most common names in the world that you read.
That's because I'm leaving out the surnames. We've got Andrew Batman and David Mastrobattista.
Those are crazy, man. Those are crazy, to be fair. But I love all of these guys, man, and gals. I love them all. They're so funny. They bring such good energy to the chat. Again, guys, you could be part of that. It's very, very fun. And who doesn't want to talk Serie A all day, every day?
Especially if your friends like the Premier League.
Shh, bro. You can't say that word in the studio.
Haram.
Yeah. We've got a giveaway live at the moment, guys. If you want to win an all-black Serie A Spotlight embroidered sweater, now is your chance to do so. Head over to our Instagram page, follow the steps, and you will be in the chance to win that. You could be anywhere in the world and you'll enter the chance of winning. So thank you once again to the talented Embroidered Malta who put together these sweaters for us. They look cool, you could wear them in, you could wear them out. Just head on over to our Instagram, follow the steps and enter the giveaway.
Yes, please. We're going to be doing it by poll. We're going to be filming the result of the giveaway, basically, and posting it on our social media, and that could be you. So please do join. Now, Matthew's got his fast-paced, action-packed, famous rundown ready for us?
Famous rundown.
Famous. Yeah. It's famous, bro.
I think it's very famous. But here we go. We're going to start off with Roma 1, Atalanta 1. That was our staple match of the week. Followed by Inter 2, Hellas 1. A lot of controversy post the 90th minute, which ended with Frattesi celebrating with his ass out in front of the Curva Nord. Salernitana 1, Juve 2. Yes, Salernitana and Juve did face each other twice in a row. On both occasions, Salernitana opened the scoring, but on both occasions, Juve got away with a victory. Empoli 0, Milan 3. Another clean victory for Milan. That's their third victory in a row as they look to recover from their previous form. As opposed to Napoli, who lost 3-0 at the hands of Torino. A brilliant display for Torino, but now shouts for Mazzocchi to be sacked. Mazzarri, apologies.
But Mazzocchi should probably be sacked too.
Getting a red card on his opening match for Napoli.
6 minutes in?
Around 6 minutes in, yeah, man. Yeah, that's some debut. Udinese 1, Lazio 2. Udinese showing, again, that they are a tough draw for most of these teams, but they have recorded their 6th loss of the season, to be fair, and Lazio got away with a 2-1 win over there with 2 great goals. Bologna 1, Genoa 1. Bologna once again failing to get all 3 points for the second match in a row. Another stellar performance by Genoa, particularly Albert Gudmundsson. Shock, Sassuolo 1, Fiorentina 0. Sassuolo scored in the 9th minute and kept a clean sheet for the entirety of the match. Not without,
I don't believe it, man.
Not without its drama. That is Sassuolo's first clean sheet of the season, bro. Crazy stuff. As soon as we were calling for Dionisi's sacking. Frosinone 2, Monza 3. Frosinone almost got a comeback over there. But Monza were too strong for them. And to end things off, the relegation battle between Lecce and Cagliari, which ended 1-1.
Classic vintage Serie A right here. And what a week. Let's jump into it, bro. The first one we have, yes sir, is Roma 1, Atalanta 1. And Roma have only beaten Atalanta at the Olimpico once since 2015, by the way.
Jesus.
This was, interestingly enough, a battle between the two teams who have struck the woodwork the most this season. And they've each struck the woodwork 10 times.
Okay.
Okay. So, just to set you up for the game, Roma, of course, have signed Dean Huijsen on loan from Juve. He's an 18-year-old Dutch defender who is hailed to be one of Juve next-to-gen's most promising talents. Of course, the deal is a dry loan, so there's no option to buy. He's got 71 appearances across various youth levels for Juventus, and he actually made his Serie A debut against Milan.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was on the way to Frosinone, and he was about to go there. Literally everything was confirmed until Mourinho saw something in him clearly and called him and convinced him to go to Roma for the rest of the season. And he will be wearing the number 3 over there, or he is wearing the number 3 over there.
That's some jump, huh?
I know, right? Yeah, Gasperini for this game deployed a mobile attack, leaving Scamacca on the bench and focusing on Koopmeiners, Miranchuk and CDK. While Pellegrini started for Roma as Paredes picked up a last-minute injury, and they started with the formidable Lukaku-Dybala partnership up front.
Clearly Gasperini here, like we mentioned last week about Roma's approach against Juve and how they could have added more creatives, Gasperini did all he could to add creatives to this team, starting Miranchuk, Koopmeiners and having the Ketelare up front, clearly knowing he's going to have a lot of the ball, so he's going to need his most creative players.
Exactly, absolutely. If Roma are patient that's unconscious, Atalanta are the surgeon in this situation. Yeah. And that's what they tried to do, like slice through that Roma defense using their intelligence and creativity. But yes, the game started off with Atalanta dominating initially. The silky Russian Alexei Miranchuk showed up pretty early on and really left his mark on the game, where he dribbled Llorente absolutely wonderfully. I don't even know what he was doing with his legs there. The way he tricked him was fantastic before whipping in the perfect ball to Koopmeiners. The Dutch jack of all trades towered over Christensen and Karsdorp to head it in. Funnily enough, no team has scored more headed goals this season than Roma. Actually, 8. They're tied with Fiorentina.
Shocker.
But Atalanta have now made it 7, so they're catching up when it comes to headers. They have their own mini game going on here. Who scores the most headers?
Who hits the post the most.
Exactly. CDK failed to capitalize on a Cristante error that saw him one-on-one with Rui Patricio rushing out and making himself as big as possible. It was Yashin-esque, He managed to stop him.
The spider.
Yeah, the spider. And he managed to save the ball fantastically. Roma had 3 goal-scoring chances at the end of the first half. Dybala couldn't connect with the ball to tap it into an empty net. Beauvais missed from point-blank range. And they were just very, very wasteful in the first half. Towards the end of the first half, they flipped the switch even further, Roma. A long ball over the top saw Carnesecchi bravely or stupidly rushing out to the edge of the area and punching the ball away from Lukaku. However, it only fell as far as Zalewski, who tried to chip Carnesecchi off his line. Carnesecchi parried the ball upwards, and this time it fell to Karsdorp, who tried to slot it into an empty net, but Gym City was there to clear it off the line. It looked like Atalanta were
in the clear.
We're in the clear, yes, but then it went to VAR, and out of nowhere, now Ruggeri had nothing to do with anything. Okay? He was not involved in the slightest, okay? His only contribution to this was charging through and kicking studs up Karsdorp in the leg, basically.
I think he jumped up to like head the ball, and with the bottom of his studs,
he grazed him.
He essentially grazed Karsdorp. Initially, in fact, Karsdorp went down, and the commentator said that looks like a horrific injury because he went down by himself, only to find out through a slow-mo replay that there was contact. It was minimal, but it's studs contact. On a high area above the knee, inside of the box, so he awarded a penalty.
Absolutely, penalty, yellow card. Dybala sent Carnesecchi the wrong way, grabbed the ball, ran up to Koopmeiners and threw it at him. Of course, because Koopmeiners tried to put the ball in the center of the spot where Dybala had originally placed it on the edge of the spot. Carnesecchi made 2 great saves in the second half, one on Huijsen, who almost scored on his debut for Roma, wearing the number 3, being personally called by Jose Mourinho. That would have been a fucking week for him. Huijsen. And the other on Dybala. Scamacca scored after an acrobatic Dybala bicycle kick, but it was called off due to a foul on Zalewski that appeared to be very soft to me. Lukaku skied a clear chance in front of Carnesecchi and bitched at Spinazzola for supposedly playing the ball behind him when he clearly should have done better.
Yeah.
Honestly, Honestly, like, okay, it was slightly behind them, but you hit the target.
But come
you
on,
take
you-
a step back. If you're Lautaro Martinez there,
Yeah.
you wait and you take a step back before the ball even comes to you. You look at
Exactly.
the space. Like that was the
Exactly.
only place that the ball could have actually been played, man.
Yeah, you know, as a world class striker or as a great striker, even you're expected to score whenever the ball is in or around the area and you're positioned there. The ball does not need to be placed on a plate for you to be able to score. I hate it when players complain for things like that when they should
Absolutely.
clearly be doing better.
Absolutely. But yes, remember that the game is played by many sore losers, many egos, many. These guys, these
Lukaku
guys are
is
serial
definitely
winners, you know.
he's definitely up there as one of those things.
Let's not specify. In the 94th minute, of course, you're not going to let it end 1-1, and Mourinho isn't the center of attention.
Obviously.
So he was right, though. He was right. In the 94th minute, Hien was clearly pulling Lukaku's shirt. Clearly pulling it. He deserved a yellow card. The referee didn't give it to him. Hien would have played for me on my Fanta Calcio and I wouldn't have been a man down. It would have been incredible. But that wasn't the case. He didn't get a second yellow. He didn't get a yellow card. However, Mourinho got a second yellow card. And after the game, he imposed a media silence on all his players. So right now, the Roma players aren't actually allowed to talk to the media. Funnily enough, Mourinho got his first yellow card by shouting, book me," to the referee.
This guy.
This guy can, by the way, Mourinho can literally do what he wants on the pitch.
I think so.
He got sent off. He was walking off, and the fans just started going, Jose Mourinho, la 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 la. Like, how many times has he been sent off this season?
I
man?
don't know.
This must be his
I don't know.
fourth time this season.
And remember, he was suspended for like the first 3-4 games of the season because of that fucking monstrosity that he had in the Europa League final, where he fucking waited outside to beat up the ref. Give me a break, man.
So meet me outside. For me, the best players for Roma this game were Bove, Dybala, and Huijsen. Huijsen, I thought, put a better shift in than Llorente did the whole game. Roma are trying to offload Spinazzola, interestingly enough. And they're also trying to offload Sanchez, but they're struggling to find suitors, and that's what happens when you, of course, when you sign players on a free and give them such large contracts.
Yeah, that's it. And he's a burden on Roma's pockets at the moment.
And Spinazzola is still deployable. He can still put in a shift. As we saw this game, he should have deserved an assist. However, his overall game is a bit shaky, and I think they can do better in that department.
I think he hasn't been the same since he came back from injury, man, Spinazzola. I don't think he's finished by all means, but I don't think he's tidy enough to be a left back at a 4 in the back, and I don't think he's fit enough to be a wing back in a 3 at the back. I don't think he tracks forward and back efficiently and powerfully enough as a left wing back, and as a left back, I don't think he's tidy enough, man.
Yeah, fair enough. I never quite got the hype. I thought that the Euros, that it's true he did well at the Euros. However,
but even before, he's good at breaking into the box. He's got quick feet.
He's always had this consistency streak about him, this inconsistency, you know. He never quite took that next step. And he was interrupted by injury as well, which sucks for him. Yeah. When it comes to shots, Roma outshot Atalanta with 6 shots on goal to 2. Rui Patricio was good here. Carnesecchi was fucking good here. These goalkeepers actually played very well, and it's not every day I say that Rui Patricio played well.
Yeah.
But Carnesecchi in particular had a great game, man. He had so many saves. You know, that one moment, okay, granted, the penalty is probably his fault because of the way he rushed out initially.
Yeah.
And then just the comical sequence of events that happened afterwards. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a few quotes, bro, from the managers.
Okay.
Gasperini said, "The point we got tonight is precious, but we have a lot to complain about. I am very skeptical about Scamacca's disallowed goal. For me, it absolutely wasn't a foul. The opponent fell first. Some decisions went in their favor. I don't make comparisons, I only look at facts. We ended up with 6 yellow cards when Roma only received 1. I do not condemn the referee, as it was like being at a bullfighting ring today, and it was almost impossible for the referee to officiate the game calmly.
Well, I think this week is a bit of a theme when it comes to, they deserved a yellow card for this, and why did we get a yellow card for this, and why did they get a penalty for that, but we didn't get a penalty for this. This week is just full of these comments from fans, from managers, clearly, so on and so forth. And I think Gasperini's right in the sense that it was soft to call off Scamacca's goal. It was
absolutely
very soft. You'll see goals that given around the world at the same date and time. I do think he has every reason to be upset over there. The yellow card situation, Gasperini, is this your first time playing against a Mourinho team? That is exactly what they do. They get you booked, they do worse than you, and they don't get booked. That is just the art of a Jose Mourinho team.
And he soaks up all the referee's attention and takes it away from his players.
Exactly.
That's very clever.
He's nuts,
The fact that Mancini didn't get a yellow this game was crazy to me. He's fucking ballistic. If you were the national team coach, Spalletti, would you call up Mancini?
Absolutely. For sure. Come on.
right,
It
I'll
turns
call him
into
up.
a scrap. You bring on Mancini.
Man, absolutely. And temperamentally, he's smarter nowadays. He's calmed down. He's not
good.
as yes, but he's not as actually yellow card prone as he used to be.
No, he's not a psychopath.
He's still a psychopath. It's just he knows how to contain it, I feel.
No, I think he's got militia in him,
Malice.
Militia.
Who's militia, bro? Why is she in him?
Who is sis? I think he's got malice in him, but I don't think he loses his mind. I don't think he's gonna fucking get a red card in the space of 10 minutes like he used to do in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's more controlled. He's more mature
Absolutely,
nowadays.
Yeah. Roma currently find themselves in 8th place with 29 points, while Atalanta are above them in 7th with 30 points, which just shows what a cagey affair this actually was. There was only 1 point separating the teams coming into this, and coming out of this 1 point still separates these guys. And I would say that is probably the deserved result, because you look at, on one hand, Roma seemed to have the better opportunities. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, Atalanta had a goal disallowed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's kind of a balance there.
It's interesting when you look at the expected goals. Now, I don't typically like to look at it, but it's just interesting over here. Roma had an XG of 2.07, whilst Atalanta's was 0.74.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is very, very interesting.
But then they had that disallowed goal, which
exactly
balances it out. Yeah. So I would say it's a fair result. I don't think that any team really deserves to go home with all 3 points here.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So, if you guys thought that was controversy in that game, let alone the next one, it's Inter 2, Hellas Verona 1. Now, Lautaro was back in the starting lineup for Inter, and DiMarco was at least fit enough to make the bench and come on later on in the match. Dumfries started ahead of Darmian and Pavard ahead of Bissek. Business as usual for Hellas, who only had Hrustic out injured. These sides entered their first match of 2024 in very different positions, to say the least. Inter, despite dropping points in their last outing of 2023 in Genoa, were in top spot, 2 points over Juve. Verona, on the other hand, ended the year with a loss to bottom place Salernitana and continued to flirt with the idea of relegation. Now, in the 12th minute, Inter opened the scoring through the now fit Lautaro Martinez, who finished very cleverly with his outstep after some good hold-up play by Thuram and an excellent pass by Mkhitaryan. They continued to push for a second after the half-time break and thought they doubled their lead through captain Lautaro, but his goal was chalked off after an offside from Acerbi in the build-up. Inter continued to dominate possession and they continued trying to find a second goal. However, in the 73rd minute, Baroni, the Hellas Verona manager, brought on Henry to replace Juric up front, probably for some more legs. 1 minute later, in the 74th minute, Henry scored with his first touch of the game after only needing a touch with his thigh to beat Jan Sommer after a brilliant cross to the near post by Duda. It was Coppola who won the ball off of Arnautovic to start the counter-attack. He just came on, one touch with his fucking thigh and got the equalizer over there for Verona. Massive stuff. I want to speak about how Coppola won the ball off of Arnautovic, because the difference in how Hellas really brought the game to Inter in this was they were playing with such a high line, and Coppola in particular, first he was really man marking Thuram, and then when Arnautovic came on, he was really man marking Arnautovic, was constantly up their asses, bro, up their asses, and over there he did super well, and he really contributed to that goal. In the 78th, Inter almost took the lead after DeMarco's vicious cross-shot free kick was mistakenly cleared off the line by his own teammate in Arnautovic. Another nightmare in the office for Arnautovic. In the 91st minute, Inter once again had the opportunity to take the lead. Acerbi looped the ball over an oncoming Montepò, and all he needed was his striker to get a touch. However, Arnautovic's header struck fresh air and the ball went wide.
Yeah, the defender did very well to zone him out. It was Coppola actually, so he had a very good game.
Yeah, amazing game,
super
Coppola.
game. However, Arnautovic, you've got size over him. You need to do better there, man.
You scored that.
Come on,
you scored.
And the way he carries himself, man.
Arnautovic.
I can't stand it.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I can't. The way he. I don't even know how to explain the way he moves. Bro.
This is what I wish that we filmed this podcast.
I can't explain the way this guy moves. Like he's got this almost bad boy swag about him. Like you're 30 fucking 4 years old, dude. That relax.
Actually, and one thing he really did at Bologna, I don't think he's had the confidence to do it yet at Inter, but roll those shorts down. Where are they going? Now, he hasn't done it quite yet at Inter. At fucking Bologna,
bro,
it
plays
looks like
in a
he was
skirt.
playing in tighty whities, bro. Honestly, it looked like he was playing in tighty whities. But enough slander for now. In the 93rd minute, Inter finally took the lead. It was Bastoni's volley from just inside the area that smashed the crossbar and landed to Barella outside the area, who unleashed a first-time volley, which was spilled by Montepò and tapped in by Frattesi, who celebrated with his ass out in front of the Curva Nord. If you think I'm kidding, fucking go watch it, man, because bro celebrated with his ass out. Now, this goal was controversial, as Bastoni can be seen maliciously. Don't ask me if it was elbow or shoulder. I think there were both. I think he went to barge him. He leaded with his with his elbow, but the contact was more from the shoulder. But he could be seen maliciously charging into Duda off the ball just before he struck the bar with his volley.
Absolutely, it was a clear foul.
Now, Lazovic was sent off for snapping at the referee right after, thinking the goal should be chalked off. You're saying you think the goal should have been chalked off?
I think it warranted a VAR review at least.
At least, no.
At least, of course.
At least.
Of course. That looked to me like a fucking... As you said, man, a malicious elbow off the ball.
Malicious.
Off the ball, yeah.
Now, I've obviously read a few opinions about this. A lot of people saying it's not a clear and obvious error. It's malicious. Mm-hmm. He brought a player down out of pure militia, out of pure malice. He knocked him down to the ground, and it led to a goal. Now, maybe there is an argument that had enough time passed from...
God bless you. It was right after, man.
It was right fucking after.
Right after. He's on the floor while they're scoring, like in the box right next to them. The ball fell to Bastoni, who struck the crossbar. Another shot. Third rebounder was Frattesi.
Now, Inter fans, you could say, what about what Juve did or what Milan did?
Gatti has had moments where he should have also been booked, and he wasn't.
We're here to discuss moment by moment what we think. You think what you want, and if you think that this is a leaderboard of who gets the most decisions in their favor, doesn't deserve to win the league, etc., etc. I just think that this was a bad call by the referee. If you disagree, then ask yourself, why was the VAR team demoted to Serie B and the refereeing team were all suspended?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that question and see whether or not we're right to think that this goal should have been chalked
I'm
off.
terribly, terribly sorry. But how can Barella, after the referee whistles, pick the ball up and launch it and just boot it outside of San Siro, and he doesn't even get a yellow card, man? Like, how can he do that? I don't understand that.
Who knows?
Now, I'm not here obviously saying, that, Inter are corrupt and all that. Obviously, we try to be more objective and we try to focus on the game and we try to actually not talk about refereeing decisions. But there are certain moments that make me question if some players are protected. Maybe, like Barella's one of the best Italian talents, so maybe he gets away with doing more. Just as, for example, we say that Zlatan can talk back to the referee and get away with it, for example.
Yeah.
But this is interesting to see. Guess who has the most yellow cards this season in the league? A team, not player.
Who has the most yellow cards? The most yellow cards.
They have 50, just to put things into
Oh,
perspective.
wow.
50 yellow cards.
Who is it?
It's Juve. Guess who has the fewest with 24?
I have an argument though there. Definitely Inter. Why? Because the second they get a yellow, they get subbed off.
Exactly. That's
it's as simple as that.
It's true.
They're not allowed to get a yellow card.
But what's interesting as well, 24 yellow cards, and 3 of them were for celebrating by taking off their shirts. So it's even lower. But that's a very good point, actually. Inzaghi hates yellow cards, so he discourages his players from actually getting them, and the second they get one, they're punished by being subbed off.
I think there's certainly a spotlight on Inter and Juve and for the decisions, because they have a history. Even if we go back to Calciopoli, Juve got...
Calciopoli was them pointing the finger at each other, saying bad.
Exactly. It turns out Juve got relegated and they were the bad guys, but Juve had their guys as part of the board and of Serie A. It's this whole thing. We're not going to get into it.
Nope.
This moment in particular, I believe the goal should have been chalked off. I think Bastoni, whether it was an elbow, whether it was a shoulder, he charged him off the ball, brought him to the ground, and they scored right after.
Yeah.
It led to the goal, but whatever.
We didn't.
There's more.
The break, dude.
There's more.
The breakaway. The two players on an empty net was Sanchez and Barella, right?
I'm getting to absolutely everything. In the 96th minute, Verona had Montepò up for a corner kick, which was cleared away by Inter, who had Barella and Alexis approaching an empty net. Together, 2 men, one on the ball, running up to an empty net, right? Barella released the pass far too late. I don't know what the fuck he was doing, and it was a soft pass as well. And Yaya Kalon was back and managed to intercept the pass. However, VAR intervened and found that in Verona's initial corner, Darmian kicked the absolute fuck out of Magnani, who was attempting to clear the ball, and so a last-second penalty was awarded to Verona. Now, Inter fans are coming back and saying, so that was a foul on Duda. This shouldn't have been a foul. In that case, this shouldn't have been a foul on Magnani. Bullshit. Bullshit. He missed the ball, swung his foot and hit the player. Did the player take a couple, did he take a step and then
like
fall
Mike
down?
From IFTV.
That's what I'm going for. Did the player take a step before falling down? Yes. But the player kicked him in the box. Significant kick. He swung his foot and it was a foul. There's no debate over there. That's a penalty. Yeah. It's a clear fucking foul. Okay, it doesn't matter if he takes 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Foul. Because the contact was significant enough. It's not like he touched him only. Significant contact. So Verona have the opportunity in the last minute to equalize. Who steps up? It's fucking Thomas Henry, the guy that came on, scored 1 minute into entering the pitch with his first touch, with his thigh. He steps up with the clock nearing the 100th minute.
He looks worried.
He looks petrified. Yeah. He looks petrified. But he does a little steppity step, sends Sommer the wrong way, because he paused in his run-up, fumbles his shot, where kind of he hits the ball from too high up. Like the contact it didn't hit the center of the ball, but hit the top of the ball. The ball kind of took a bubble and bounced, and it hit the post. Folarunshaw came in to head in the rebound, and I don't know where he sent it, but not on target, and that was the last kick, in inverted commas, of the game. Inter celebrate and they get away with 3 points.
So first of all, wow, what a game!
Crazy stuff.
Crazy
I
couldn't
stuff.
get my eyes off it.
If you had to shit,
I
bad.
feel sorry for you. Yeah. For me, first of all, Verona played a really good game. I was very
Absolutely.
impressed by them. They were very organized. I really liked what Suslov and Duda had to offer in the middle.
For sure.
Very good for the Slovakian.
Suslov?
They're Slovakian, yes, or Slovak, I believe it is. Yes, they are both Slovak.
Slovak Djokovic.
I really liked what they had to offer. I liked their approach over here. I still think that Inter are struggling without Di Marco, and when he came on, he looked really rusty. It doesn't quite tick as well without him, and they really struggle to transition into attack without Di Marco, quite frankly. I do think there's an air of complacency when it comes to Inter at times. We could see this game in particular with Barella being in that situation. You're 1 goal up. And alright, granted, you're trying to give a goal to your teammate who hasn't scored all season. That's nice. And had he managed to successfully play the ball and it went in and everything counted, he would have been labelled a hero and a gentleman. Man. Yeah, but you need to score, man. That was an easy chance. That was a fucking free goal for you. 3-1, you sealed the deal. Imagine what a nightmare had Henry converted that. Barella would be awake every night, like, you know?
I agree with you that they seem a bit more static without Di Marco. It's like their flow and their creativity really takes a dip when Di Marco isn't on the pitch. I do believe that with Lautaro, it's a breath of fresh air that he's back in the team naturally, because that front two was far too static, especially without the service of Di Marco before. They really struggled to find breakthroughs, but now they can find those breakthroughs. To me, there was one issue with Inter, and this is where I really applaud Verona, because Inter, when they are pressed, and they are pressed adequately, and when you do it the right way, because if you don't commit to the press against Inter, but you've got a high defensive line, for example, they're going to take the piss out of you. They're going to play the ball around you, they're going to attract you outwards, and then they're going to break through. That's how they killed Milan. Milan didn't commit to the press against Inter, but they committed to a high line, and it was strange, to say the least. Verona committed. Verona had a high defensive line, and Verona pressed the fuck out of Inter. And you know what we say about their midfield? It's great. It's not press resistant. And I think we started to see Inter in this game getting those smooth combinations just a little bit off. Just a little bit off because they didn't have time and space to pull these off. They didn't have the positions and the gaps in defense to play those balls through. I think Verona did a great job of pressing them, putting pressure on them, and I do think that's why Inter spent the majority of the game getting those tiny details wrong in the build-up to their attacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. The high line was a brave approach by Verona, but they nailed it. And it was only when Juan Cabal came on that they actually lowered their line. It was about the 73rd minute, I believe.
Yeah.
But, good point.
Special shout out goes to Coppola because he was marking the target man. And the target man isn't Lautaro. The target man is either Thuram, Arnautovic, whoever's playing alongside Lautaro, the big boy. And he was particularly not allowing the ball to get to that big boy, because that's where the danger comes with Inter. The second it hits Thuram, it's going to bounce off him and go to Lautaro. The second comes to Arnautovic, it's going to bounce off him, go to Lautaro, or one of the midfielders, for example. And Coppola did not allow them to do that, and he was directly involved in the equaliser for that reason.
I also wanted to highlight the performance of Jackson Chachua, who was absolutely fantastic, bombing up and down that right-hand side, 22-year-old Cameroonian. He had a very good game. A very, very fast man.
Yeah, and it's not the first time he's had a good game, but it's starting to become a theme now.
Yeah, he started 7 games this season.
Also, his name sounds like you're taking a photo.
Chachua.
Just one more thing is, why do Inter dip in January, February?
Because it's cold, man.
You think?
I have no idea. It's season.
It's always the case. Yeah.
We would like to hear what you guys think, because I'm honestly stumped.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it could be.
2 seasons ago, I remember I was in Valletta, Queen Vic, and I was hanging out with, I'm not going to say names, but Key's best friends, group of friends.
Okay.
And I got obliterated. I told them for every sambuca I wore there, I'm going to chug 2. I don't know what
it was more.
Huh?
You said 3 for each one, no?
Was it 3, man? I'm going to need to ask Key. I got fucked up because Sassuolo were kicking the shit out of Inter throughout the entire game. I think they beat them 2-1, 3-1,
Yeah.
I think it was a couple of seasons ago. But that was February, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
January, February, Inter take a little dip, as in we'll see, it's still the 9th of January. But yeah, let us know what you think and why that is. Inter are still first, just 2 points above Juve with 48 points, whilst Verona are in 18th, now in the relegation zone on 14 points. And you know what? Just 1 point ahead of Empoli in 19th and just 2 points ahead of Salernitana in 20th.
Yeah, Salernitana took on Juventus at home after the trashing in the Coppa Italia by Juve, 6-1. And this time Allegri made it very clear before the game that it was going to be a different side that they were going to be facing than the one that they smashed just 3 days prior. And oh, how right he was, as Juve managed to edge it at the death with the score of 2-1 away from home. Of course, now it was a 4-4-2 system for Salernitana, a very clever approach by Pippo Inzaghi, in my opinion. I really liked the way that Simi played this game. Simi, man, I take my hat off to him. I shat on him recently in the last few episodes, saying that he hasn't really been doing anything and everything he touches turns to shit. It's true, on the ball he hasn't been exactly great, but he has shut out the machine that is Juve on his own.
Yeah.
Today. He stood in front of Nicolosi all game and didn't let him do anything.
Nope.
Nothing. Didn't even give him a breath of air. Like.
Yeah. They ended up taking him out, and then they took out Nicolosi, and they brought on, I believe they brought on a forward.
Milik.
Milik, there you go.
And then shortly after, it was Simi's turn to go off.
Yeah.
And then they conceded the winner. But yeah, so it was Chauna and Simi up front, and then it wasn't a 4-4-2, my bad, it's a 3-5-2, of course, 3-5-2, with Costil, Danilo-Lic, Gyomber, and Fazio at the back.
Costil, literally going man for man here.
Yeah, literally, man for man marking. Kandreva playing in that midfield role and Brothers starting out wide. For Juve, it was also a 3-5-2, of course, with Yildiz and Vlahovic up front, Nicolosi in the middle, Wea this time started on the right, and Kostic on the left, and other than that, business as usual. Now, in the 39th minute, Maggiore curled the ball into the far top corner of the net from the edge of the area, his first ever goal for Salernitana, and that pretty much ended the first half. Let's play a game of Guess the XG. What do you think Juve's XG was at the end of the first half?
I think really low. It must have been low, no?
Yeah.
0.0.
No.
0.2.
0.29, yes, very,
Nice.
very, very low. Okay, so Juve pretty much couldn't do anything in the first half, and Salernitana were way too organized for them. The second half started with McKennie failing to hit the target from point blank range, and in the 54th minute, Maggiore got his second yellow. He could be seen crying in the tunnel. It was such a reckless and stupid foul, charging into Rabiot the way he did, in my opinion, bro. Come on, like, you're on a yellow card, you charge it, you lunge in like that. I get he was gassed after his goal. He was probably fueled on adrenaline and feeling invincible at the time, you know, but that was so reckless and inexperienced. And as the commentator said, Maggiore, you are not a young player anymore. You were the captain of Spezia. You have a lot of pedigree. You need to do better in situations like this because you cost your team. That was the turning point.
Exactly. From hero to zero, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we've had a few of those. Henry as well.
Yeah.
And the 65th minute, from zero to hero, of course, we have Samuel Illing Jr., remember him?
Yeah.
He came on playing in midfield,
Vaguely.
and he equalized for Juve after Vlahovic's scuffed shot ended up being an accidental assist. That was funny. Yeah?
That's what it was.
He hit that shot with so much might, and just like... Exactly.
Like Lenny from The Simpsons
Playing tennis with Carl. Yeah, that was hilarious. But yeah, an accidental assist for Vlahovic, who really plays, by the way, with his heart on his sleeve.
Yes, bro. Yes.
He makes you.
He didn't have that last season, huh?
He looks hungrier this year,
He's
and
fucking
there's
starved.
this team spirit. Smells like team spirit, bro.
Yeah.
At Juve right
Fucking
now.
right.
It's fucking. They have this certain passion and camaraderie about them that's really infectious, man, at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think Vlahovic is spearheading that, to be honest. And even though he was playing quite poorly, he doesn't seem to let it get to him. He celebrates as hard as he possibly can. He fucking tries and tries and tries. He's really an inspiration.
And there was one game in particular, like where he missed an easy chance. Someone scored the rebound and he celebrated his head off. You'd see so many players being disappointed that they didn't finish that off themselves.
Absolutely. In the 91st minute, Danilo, one of the unsung heroes of Juventus, won the ball out wide and urgently whipped the ball into Vlahovic. It was a perfect cross. He didn't really have much time to tee it up, but he won the ball back, whipped it in, and Vlahovic slotted the ball into the back of the net with his head and went on to remove 2 layers of clothing.
Yes, which is the only right way to take your top off.
It's the only right way. If you're wearing an undershirt, that has to go off too.
Yep.
Or else you're getting a yellow card for nothing.
Exactly.
You know what's funny as well? If you get subbed off and after your number goes up, you take off your t-shirt, you don't get a yellow card.
After you sub, of course not, bro. Come on. But you know, like taking your shirt off after you score and taking your shirt off after you're substituted are obviously
but isn't
different
the whole
disciplines.
point of it public indecency? It's the fact that it that you're wearing a uniform?
To be honest, I don't know why exactly. I think it's because they are playing the match and they're fucking removing their kit while they're playing, and I think there's also public indecency while they're on the pitch. But
if you get subbed off and you take off your shirt, it's still publicly indecent. Doesn't matter if you're fucking playing or if you're walking off the bench.
I think you're fishing a bit.
Maybe. Do you remember Mirko Vucinic?
Yes, of course.
He used to take off his shorts when he scored, or he did it once, right?
I think he had done it, Vucinic.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Now, yes, for me, Salernitana got their goal by exploiting the space behind Juve's defense, bro. They set up defensively, Salernitana. They were compact, but they launched counterattacks through quick transitions. Maggiori's goal is a perfect example of this, where you really see Salernitana exploiting the space on the counter. Juve pressed and attacked after the red card. It became really complicated for Salernitana, and Juve just managed to exploit the wings and push higher up the pitch. Only 3 shots on target for Juve this game, and that brings us to the Corto Muso point, right? Which I don't think we've ever actually mentioned on this podcast.
No.
Allegri has this famous interview where he talks about horse racing and how he says that the fastest horse wins, and they never it all counts from the muzzle. You know, it never actually. No one comes and tells you, you won by 3 centimeters, or you won by 30 centimeters. What matters is that you win.
Yeah.
And that's the comparison that he likes to draw. There was an AI version of that interview where they translated it to English using Allegri's voice, and it's just so funny. I'm gonna play it.
I love Allegri's voice.
Horse race fan. Huh? Congratulations. Well, you did great. In horse racing, it's enough to have the nose in front. There's no need to win by 100. Nose in front, the muzzle, photograph, short muzzle, simple. What you lose by a short muzzle, what you lose by a short muzzle comes in second. What you win by a short muzzle first. Then it's not like they write, I won by 30. First short snout, then 84. If Napoli doesn't win them all, it's enough and more.
Does he have like a toothpick in his mouth, a cigarette in his hands, and he's calling me pal?
He's just the coolest, bro. He's just the coolest, you know. But yeah, bro, let's talk a little bit about how Juve had 7 players on the bench and 2 of them were keepers.
It's crazy, especially when you consider that they're only playing the 2 competitions and they're this narrow as a squad. Obviously, they've got Chiesa, Keane, Cambiaso, Sandro, De Sciglio out injured, and Locatelli was suspended. for this game. And obviously they've also got Pogba and Fagioli, Pogba's finished and Fagioli's finished at least for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I guess that explains it, but have they not got one of the best youth systems in the world? Where are the youths on the bench?
They're around, right? That's a fair point. Why aren't they on the bench? But I think they must have thought that this would be enough to get them over the line against Salernitana. A last-minute injury, of course, for Chiesa. Not very good for him, man. He's really struggling with injuries since his ACL.
Is he gonna live up to his potential? Is the question, because if he keeps fucking getting these injuries, not having a single full season, man, it's gonna be tough. Absolutely. And he has competition now. It's not like before. There's Soler coming back. There's Yildiz nowadays.
Yeah. He definitely needs to just like reevaluate the way he trains and the way he plays, because the more you hold the ball, the more you run with the ball, the fucking faster you run with the ball, the harder you get hit.
He's the hardest worker on that pitch.
And his play style just invites flying challenges and him to get kicked, and it's not going to end well for him at the straight. But yeah, on a positive note for Juventus, Danilo, I mentioned he's one of the most underrated players. He had the most touches, the most key passes, and the best pass rate. However, he has looked a little bit shaky defensively at times, but his importance is, it can't be understated.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's one hell of a leader. He's grown a lot defensively. I know you mentioned inconsistencies, but I do feel like he's brushed up on a lot of those. Great defender, their captain, and fantastic assist in this game, helping out offensively.
Yeah, Juve currently find themselves in second with 46 points, just 2 points off of top of the table Inter, while Salernitana are all the way in 20th with 12 points.
So next up is Empoli 0, Milan 3. Now, following the injury of Tomori, the Rossoneri left the returning Matteo Gabbia on the bench, starting Teo Hernandez in central defence alongside Simon Kjaer, with Florenzi at left back. Adli stepped in for Ben Nasser, who is at AFCON. Empoli had Luperto at left back due to Cacace's ban following an accumulation of yellow cards. Milan were coming off a dominant midweek display in the Coppa Italia versus Cagliari, where they won 4-1, featuring a great number of youngsters. Now, Milan dominated from the get-go and opened the scoring in the 11th minute after Leao did Leao things before squaring it to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who hit the back of the net with a cool, calm and composed finish. In the 29th minute, the referee was summoned by VAR to spot a clumsy handball by Malé inside his own area, where his hands were in the air like he was fucking tonight. Giroud smashed the penalty in off the crossbar, just the way Jake likes his penalties, with zero bullshit. In the 35th minute, Florenzi went off injured and was replaced by the young, bright Jimenez. Scans have revealed that there is no muscle injury and that Florenzi will only be out for the Coppa, so he should be back quite soon for Milan. Teo had two splendid last-ditch blocks to deny Cambiaghi and Caputo as Empoli started to pick up momentum. However, Milan got their third in the 87th minute through Chaka Traore, who finished very cleanly after Pulisic did wonders turning defence into attack. That's his second goal of the week, his first goal in the Coppa Italia, and his first goal in Serie A. What a week it's been for Chaka Traore, bro.
Amazing week, and prior to this he had only had 3 appearances in the top flight for Parma, of course, at the age of 16 years old. That was like, 2 years ago now? 2 years ago.
Yeah, around, I think 3 years ago, because he's now 19.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Okay. He's showing good progress, man, and it has to be said, I liked the way Milan set up this game. I liked the way Leao played. This is where that first goal is a prime example of how Leao should be deployed.
Yeah, and he's up against Ebuehi.
Exactly.
Ebuehi is very physical and he's a quick player as well, but Leao made quick work of him with that sudden change of pace, and knocking the ball forward.
In that position, the halfway line with space, he can take on anyone in the world. Mm-hmm. Because he has the skill set to do so, he has the physicality, and he has the raw power.
Yeah.
He almost seems like a different species to the others out there when he's charging like that. And that's what we need to see, man. We need to see Leao charging, taking the ball to the byline, maybe cutting inside last second and kind of just playing it into the area.
Yeah.
Or maybe just teeing himself up for a shot on goal. Mm-hmm. But none of this long range shooting, that's not his game at all.
No. This is where Leao is effective and he did a good job sticking to that in this game. I think Loftus-Cheek was back to his best in this game. I think a large part of that has to do with the way that he was deployed in this game and the space in which Giroud in particular was creating for him to be that second man running into the box. That shows perfectly in the first goal. I mean, when Leao plays that ball back, it's not always a calculated pass. A lot of the time after you take on a man like that to the byline, you're moving at that pace. There's not always time to look up and pick out the right pass. But if you knock it into that area and you know that Ruben Loftus-Cheek is the last man running into the box, then there's a bloody good chance that that's going to be a goal. And Loftus-Cheek had many of those moments in this game. He had many moments where he was running at the defence past the midfield, so between the midfield and the defence, and he's charging at them. These are the areas where he is most dangerous. We know that Milan don't have many defensive players in midfield. But in this case, I do believe that although Loftus-Cheek is the most physical midfielder that Milan have, he's best closer to goal and he's best charging forward like the absolute fucking horse that he is.
Yeah, I really liked Milan's midfield this game. I thought Reinders was incredible. I don't think he put a foot wrong this game. Adli just has a very attractive play style. He's such a fun player to watch, and I don't know, man. He reminds me a lot of Pirlo. It has to be said.
I have a point here that says, I doubt anyone has ever needed to tell Adli to relax ever in his life. He's so calm. He's that's what you mean by the very generous Pirlo comparison.
The balls over the top, man. Like, I haven't seen a midfielder with that play style in a very long time. We're just like, he's always looking up. He's direct. He'll switch the play. He's willing to play it down to any flank, and his long balls are very accurate as well. And I don't think he missed any of them this game.
No, I don't think so. He was absolutely fantastic in this game, Adli, and I do think that he is the answer for when Ben Nasser is out at AFCON. It's not Krunic. I believe that the best balance Milan have is when he's on the pitch, and obviously when Ben Nasser isn't there. Because Musa, he's a bit more of a box to box. He loves going forward, Musa. So I do believe that this is the best balance that Milan have. Milan were 2-0 up at half time. They brought on youngsters. They not only went on to win the game, but one of the youngsters actually scored. It's a great start to 2024 for Milan. And these are the opportunities that the Coppa Italia gives you. Because obviously Florenzi went off injured, and suddenly Milan are like, okay, we are now confident that we have Jimenez that can step in.
Yeah.
Take Leao off to rest him. With Coppa Italia coming up against Atalanta midweek, we are now confident that Chaka Traore can play and he can put in a shift. Milan now know that they have these players to their arsenal.
Absolutely, yes, very good point. The players show that they're ready. Milan have young reinforcements in pretty much every department as it stands. Kamada obviously showed he wasn't quite up for it. He's still only 15
years old.
But when it comes to Chaka Traore, Jimenez, Simic, they look amazing. They look amazing. And with this whole growth decree thing, with teams being unable to bring in players, high-profile players from overseas, development is going to be very important, and this is a very promising sign for Milan.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that there's a sense of community within those young players as well. You look at Simic, you look at Jimenez, you look at Chaka Traore, you look at all these guys, it seems like they're hyping each other up as well. They're hanging out before and after the game, sharing handshakes, hugging. Leao seems like a bit of a big brother / father figure to them. There's a sense of unity, which I think Milan had lost in the earlier stages of the season when Pioli was naturally falling out of favour. But yeah, I do think that next season will still see Pioli out, but it does seem like Milan have a bit more consistency. I know they haven't faced the strongest opponents, but keeping 2 clean sheets in a row, scoring 4 goals in the Coppa Italia, it's good signs for the second half of the season.
And the team's only going to get better because this is a very depleted Milan side. So, yeah, the squad's going to be quite deep going into the remaining of the season.
Theo Hernandez at centre-back.
Yes.
I thought he was fucking good in this game. I thought he was fantastic. Those 2 blocks that he had, and just his tackling and his maturity at the back.
Duels, man. He won most of them.
He's adding 5 years to his career. by being able to play centre back, because there's no way he could keep that up as a left back for his career. But honestly, I do see a future for him, particularly as a left centre back or as a centre back in general. And obviously, while he's in his prime, play him on the wing, because he's far too dangerous to drop in that area. But hey, when a situation like this comes about, it's good to know that you could rely on him as a centre-back.
Yes, and to think that people thought that the natural progression for Theo Hernandez was to play on the wing.
Yeah,
When
there you go.
in reality, he transitioned to centre-back when Milan needed him the most. Super player. I honestly was surprised by his willingness to help the team, and I have been surprised by his loyalty and his professionalism, because I don't know, maybe this is why you should never judge a book by its cover, but he just seems like he wouldn't be that type of person, you know what I mean?
He seems like
He's more of a troublemaker, he seems arrogant, but he totally isn't. He's a team player, he's a professional, and he's a great example for young players.
Yeah, man. He keep in mind, he joined just post-Banter era. Literally, as the second it was ending, Theo Hernandez was brought in. He's one of the massive reasons Milan are out of it, and so far he seems loyal.
Yeah.
I do think that Jimenez needs to change his bio on Instagram. Jugador del Real Madrid, on a loan at AC Milan. Bro, Milan player. Come on. Milan are now linked. Well, Milan have completed the signing of Terracciano, a very versatile young Italian player that can play at right back. He can play at central midfield as well. And, you know, Fiorentina wanted him and a couple other teams wanted him. I'm not too sure who. Milan are now closing in on Popovic, a young Serbian forward, a talent that was also wanted by Real or Man City. I can't remember.
I think Man City.
Yeah, I believe it was Man City. Naturally, he'd be that third choice striker that Milan so desperately need at the moment. Milan also looking obviously to bring more defenders in, with Dragusin being mentioned as Milan attempt to hijack his move to Tottenham, but it doesn't look very likely. It looks like literally as we speak, he's on the plane on the way there. Buongiorno is a name that's being mentioned. As you guys would know, people that listen to Serie A Spotlight, these are two players that I rate. I couldn't rate higher as centre-backs, as young centre-backs. Milan also interested and inquiring about Ngonge. Not quite sure why Milan would need Ngonge.
I guess they're just testing the waters. They're probably aware of the situation at Hellas Verona. They inquired about Terracciano and made it happen. And they asked about Ngonge at the time, simply because he's a good talent. And for a fair price, he might be worth it. He might be a coup, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Milan find themselves in third place on 39 points, 7 behind Juve, 9 behind Inter, whilst Empoli are in 19th place on 13 points, 1 above Salernitana and 1 below Verona.
So last weekend, Torino faced Napoli, and the previous 5 matches between Torino and Napoli resulted in Napoli winning all 5 of them, and Torino scoring only 1 goal. Last weekend, Torino smashed Napoli 3-0 at home.
What a performance by Torino.
Fantastic performance by Torino. They were by far the better team. You would have thought that they were the defending champions this game.
Yeah.
For Torino, it was a 3-4-1-2 formation with Sanabria and Zapata up front, with Vlasic playing behind them, Lazar out on the left, and the ever-impressive Raul Bellanova playing out on the right, with Ricci and Ilic playing as a really good double pivot, man.
Absolutely.
Super double pivot. And Ricardo Rodriguez, Gigi, and Buongiorno at the back. For Napoli, it was a 4-3-3 with Juan Jesus and Rahmani at the back. Mario Rui returns at left back. Kajustes start in the midfield alongside Lobotka and Zielinski. Kvaratskhelia, Raspadori and Politano were up front, of course. Anguissa and Osimhen are away at AFCON.
Yeah.
Gollini was also in goal, the goalkeeper, full-time goalkeeper, part-time rapper.
Yep.
To replace Meret, who's been injured. Yes, if you haven't seen Gollini's music videos, you should look them up on YouTube. They're quite entertaining.
Bro, he has one on the Spurs stadium roof.
He's on top. Can you imagine him asking for that? He's like, listen, guys, I have this thing. I do rap. Okay, I'm a rapper. Can I borrow the stadium? How do you make that work? You know?
I don't think it sounds like that, considering he's a rapper. It'd probably start the conversation. Yo, Mr. Gaffer Man.
Listen up, yo. So yes, the first half, Torino were solid. They were testing Napoli's defense early on, particularly through Zapata, had an early shot that was saved by Gollini. Vlasic missed a golden opportunity shooting high in front of an open goal. Referee Mariani in the first half missed a potential penalty call after Lobotka seemed to foul Vlasic inside the box. Napoli struggled to break through Torino's defense. Raspadori had a few attempts, which included a saved shot by Milinkovic-Savic, and later an attempt wide. Sanabria eventually broke the deadlock for Torino in the 43rd minute, slotting in a goal from Zapata's assist. In the second half, the new arrival by Napoli was introduced.
Yeah.
Pasquale Mazzocchi came on for Piotr Zielinski. Mazzocchi arriving from Salernitana. I'm sure if you have a Twitter account or if you're active on social media, you read all the stories that Mazzocchi was a lifelong Napoli fan. He was a kid born in Naples and he always supported Napoli, and this was a move and a dream come true for him. But his dream come true quickly became a nightmare. As literally just 4 minutes into his debut, he received a straight red card for a dangerous tackle on Lazaro, studs up, and it reduced Napoli to 10 men. The most horrible part of all this is it happened on the other side of the pitch, so he had to do the whole walk of shame down the middle of the pitch.
Yeah. I found that change interesting to start with. Zielinski, when Napoli needed a goal, they took out Zielinski, they brought on Mazzocchi. I could only imagine that they must have changed to a 3 at the back formation with Rui as a left wing back.
Yes, I think so, and that's what Mazzarri knows best. So he probably, it's so desperate right now, the situation at Napoli, that he's reverting to what he knows best, because the team clearly isn't showing that they have the muscle memory to play a 4-3-3, because they haven't scored a single goal in 4 games. Napoli, it's crazy, it's mad. It's madness. Torino capitalized, of course, on the numerical advantage. They're a very organized side, and Vlasic scored a goal after receiving quite a lot of space on the edge of the box, and he slotted it in. Buongiorno headed in a goal from a corner, and the match was briefly interrupted later on due to Napoli fans throwing rockets and fireworks onto the pitch in frustration. So yes, Torino approached the game defensively. They set up defensively. They remained compact and organized. They allowed Napoli very minimal space to create chances. Their compactness in midfield disrupted Napoli's rhythm and build-up play, quite frankly. Napoli, of course, they struggled to find rhythm. Their attempts to break the resilient Torino side were thwarted, which resulted to basically very, very few attempts on goal. They only had 3 attempts on goal to Torino's 9. Now, what do you think, bro? What did you make of this? Usually Torino, we talk about them being a low-scoring side.
But, they beat Atalanta 3-0 not too long ago, and now they beat the defending champions Napoli 3-0 as well. I think this team, Torino, as a team, they are capable of a lot. They are capable of challenging some of the best teams in the league because they're very organized. And hey, if they show that they can attack in this manner, then kudos to them. I think they, like you said, they prioritize the approach where, hey, let's not concede. But the second they were breaking down Napoli's play so well and they created space for themselves through the counter-attacks, through set plays as well, through Zapata's very clever knockdowns in the area as well, out-muscling the very shaky defense of Rahmani and Juan Jesus. And I think Torino exposed the fuck out of everything Napoli have that's going wrong with them at the moment.
Yeah.
One question I want to ask you about Napoli. Do you think I know the answer. Do you think they hit the panic button and brought in Mazzocchi for Rudi Garcia?
Mazzarri.
My God, I keep saying that. They brought on Mazzarri in place for Rudi Garcia a bit prematurely.
Yes. I mean, if you employ a coach, and it's not going exactly to plan, you need to. I think De Laurentiis needed to really see what his priorities were and his expectations were for Rudi Garcia. Because if he expected Rudi Garcia to challenge for the title again, then that might have been a little bit naive. Because, of course, Spalletti was a leader at the team. We talked about this before. Were they premature to let him go without an adequate replacement? I would say yes. I don't think that's ever a good idea. They settled for Mazzarri because the idea was that he would bring defensive solidarity, and it seemed to be the case. But now it just completely collapses. Baptism of fire seems to completely demotivate the players. There's a psychological block in the players at Napoli right now. The two of their key players are away at AFCON. Raspadori is being relied on to get the goals, and he's never actually been the main guy to get you goals. He's usually been the guy to enter and get you a goal, or the guy who's playing, at Sassuolo he had Berardi, for example, who was the main guy. He's always been a support player.
And he's never been prioritized as the starting striker.
Exactly.
Sometimes he plays off the left, sometimes he plays behind the striker. That's the way that at least Spalletti like to utilize him.
Absolutely. Yes, I think as it stands right now, De Laurentiis, granted, he's taken the blame for what's happening at Napoli. I mean, of course, he didn't really have to say that. Everyone knew. I don't know what they should do now, honestly. I think that De Laurentiis is in a pickle. I think that right now the fans have every right to protest. Should he sack Mazzarri? What the hell do you do now?
That's what the fans want.
Yeah.
The fans want Mazzarri out now.
To bring in who?
What the hell are you need?
They were going to bring in Tudor, but they couldn't quite agree. They even spoke to Motta, but they couldn't guarantee him that he'd have full control of the transfer market.
Yeah, exactly. Last summer they could have brought him in.
Yeah, it seems that he still wants to be the main guy, De Laurentiis, and that's obviously, he needs a yes man, and Mazzarri's a yes man, and that's what he got. And look what a yes man gives you.
Yeah, exactly.
Torino, on the other hand, brother, 3-4-1-2. This is a nice little system for them. They've got Zapata and Sanabria starting with Vlasic behind them. That, to me, is the way. I didn't originally think that this was the way they should be playing necessarily, but it's safe to say that Juric has definitely figured out his goal-scoring problems, right? Torino's goal-scoring problems.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you have a player as creative as Vlasic behind, Sanabria, that is quite an all-rounder up front. We always said
him a 10,
he's
right?
Exactly. Yeah. We said he's a striker with the movement of an attacking midfielder. And that's exactly what it is. He's creative, and he's one hell of a finisher as well, Sanabria, alongside Duvan Zapata. That just gives them that target man and that outlet that can really create space for Sanabria, and who could really hold up play and knock it down to someone who's got a shot on him. Whether it's Ilic, whether it's Ricci, whether it's Vlasic, these are all capable players of having a strike from distance. And their approach in this game was brilliant, Torino. If they keep going, if they keep playing the way in which they're playing, which is a bit more fearless when going forward and being that bit more direct, then I think they could do a very good job this season, and he could turn that frown upside down.
Beautifully said, bro.
He was crying, a few weeks ago he was crying. Now Atalanta and Napoli 3-0, both of them.
A month in football is the equivalent to a year in any other career or profession.
Now, Napoli, let's say Napoli are shit. And I mean, they're 9th. Torino beat them 3-0. Let's say Napoli are shit, sure. What are Atalanta? I think Atalanta was an easy game for Torino.
Yeah, no, he's definitely figured it out over here. I think he has a really nice team, man.
I think so.
All round, there are players that are ticking. Ilic and Ricci are a really nice midfield duo. Two very smart signings by Torino to get them nice and young. One from Hellas Verona, the other one from Empoli. Just bringing them in, and all of a sudden you've got this exciting double pivot. You've got Bellanova, who was another exciting coup for them. You see Inter don't want this guy. Inter brought him in. He must have something. He's a Milan youth product, this guy. He left Milan, he went to France, came back to Italy, didn't quite cut it. I believe he was playing, was it Cagliari? I'm not sure. He was playing at another lowly team before.
Yeah, he was on loan at Cagliari. I believe he was also on loan at Atalanta and Pescara as well.
Yes. Another smart signing by them, and he's been pivotal for them. He's been the horse down the flank, just attacking and charging tirelessly all game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Torino, in my opinion, deserved all 3 points. By far the better team over here. The Napoli players need to start looking at themselves and say, we need to do better as
Yeah.
well, because it's not just the fucking manager
No.
that should be getting all the blame. We're out there and we're getting embarrassed. Matsaki needs to put this behind him and try to get over it, because what happened to him there is traumatic and he needs to talk about it in therapy. But yeah, other than that, of course, Napoli find themselves in 9th with 28 points, while Torino are in 10th with 27 points, still alive in the race for Europe. As we mentioned, these are early days and anything can happen.
Yeah.
Time could pass and Torino could replace Bologna up there in that 5th spot. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we said Torino are missionary.
Missionary works.
I think what they've done here, they raised one of the legs, bro.
Oh yeah.
Now they could
That
raise
changes
the
the
other
game.
leg and they can really plow
And finish top 4.
and finish top 4. Yes.
That's it, man. That's it.
Brilliant. That was poetic.
Yeah, there's a reason missionary is one of the most famous positions, right?
We've got a missionary advocate over here. Jake Fennick, ladies and gentlemen, loves a good mish. Congratulations, bro.
Gotta miss your bish, you know what I'm saying?
Next up, bro, Udinese 1, Lazio 2. Udinese again, they are also turning the tide slightly and showing us that they can score goals. The Aquile ended 2023 with back-to-back wins over Empoli and Frosinone, but we're still missing Ciro Immobile and Luis Alberto, with Manuel Lazzari returning from a 2-match ban. Isaacsen started ahead of Anderson, the ever streaky Anderson, and Pellegrini started at left back with Marusic at right back. I do have to re-emphasize Ciro Immobile and Luis Alberto were still missing for this game. The Friulani left out Samardzic ahead of his likely transfer to Napoli, along with the usual massive injury list including Bijol, Ebosse, Zemura, Brenner, Pafundi and Delafeu. They concluded 2023 with a shock 3-0 victory over Bologna, only their second victory of the whole season. Once again, Udinese opted to start Odeje ahead of Silvestri in goal. Now in the 12th minute, Lazio opened the scoring thanks to a sneaky low left-footed free kick by Pellegrini into the keeper's bottom corner on his side. It looked like Rovella was stepping up to go over the wall, only to deceive the defending team and the commentator, as we previously said. In the 59th minute, Udinese found themselves an equaliser as Lovric played his free kick low into a busy area and Wallace managed to get a touch into the back of the net amidst all the bodies that were positioned over there. I swear to God, if you look at that goal, you wouldn't know who scored it, but Wallace claimed it and every platform gave it to Wallace.
It looked like no one touched it, but at the same time, everyone touched it.
Hey. It's like everyone struck out a leg, but it didn't really change much. In the 75th, Lazio regained the lead as substitute Vecino finished very well after good work by Castellanos and Anderson linking up. Vecino, the guy that only scores winners, got another winner over here as Lazio find themselves a bit of a better position. Nowadays, it's a long season, but they were in the bottom half for a while. They're shooting, they've shot up now to 7th and they're level on points with Atalanta.
And we need to praise Sarri because his
Absolutely.
in-game management has been great, man. Honestly, like this is another substitution that worked for him. Got him the winner, you know. Not to mention a free kick routine got them the first goal as well. That's all from the coach, you know. I think that Sarri is once again he's a forgotten coach. You know, people forget the style that all of Europe was raving about a few years ago. Now everyone's talking about De Zerbi. Let's not remember that a few years ago, Sarri was De Zerbi.
Sarri ball.
Sarri ball, exactly. So it's nice to see that he's finally got these guys ticking. And honestly, they should be strong, especially if they exit from the Champions League. They're going to be a threat in the league.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is a team that finished second last season, and they were, on the day, they were spectacular. They killed Milan last year. They killed a couple of teams. They beat Napoli. I believe they were the first team last year to beat Napoli in January, and it was a Vecino goal.
They beat Inter a few times. I think
they beat Inter a couple of times in the past few seasons, all 3-1s. Yeah, I have an interesting fact about that free kick goal by Pellegrini. The last time a Lazio defender scored a direct free kick was back in 2006. And it was Massimo Oddo.
Massimo Oddo.
That's good. The guy that
Massimo
whenever
Oddo.
you read whatever was written on shirt, it was
Yeah.
44.
Here's all. That font, right? It just looked like four O's.
Oh!
I have a memory of Oddo scoring a penalty against Milan in the later point of his career and celebrating like a madman.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
I remember it
that.
quite clearly.
I don't remember that.
I don't know who he was with. I believe, could it be Lecce? I believe he must have had the spell at Lecce. I'll check that while you get to the next point.
When you think about the starting 11 of Lazio, they have 7 players who have their debut season at Lazio this year. There's Gila, who started this game as Romagnoli still finding his fitness, Pellegrini, Guendouzi, Rovella, Kamada, which is their entire midfield, Isaacson and Tati Castellano. 7 new players. It's no wonder they were off to a slow start.
course,
And they've got
yes.
Chiro out, they've got Alberto out, and they also lost Sergei. Like, I believe this resurgence of Lazio is not really a resurgence, but rather they just needed their time to work Sarri's system, which is a tough system to get used to, man.
Yes, for sure. And the league is a difficult one to adapt to. And many of these guys came from different leagues.
Yeah.
Kamada, Isaacson, Castellanos, Guendouzi, Pellegrini, Gila, they all came from different leagues.
Yeah.
So there was quite the adaptation period. It's great. And winning away from home at Udinese is no easy feat. We've seen what Udinese are capable of doing. They've got like a record amount of draws this season. It's crazy. So yeah, respect to Sarri and respect to Lazio. Also, by the way, on the Massimo Oddo point, I googled it. In 2012, Oddo left Milan and went to Bayern Munich, where he was loaned to Bayern Munich.
I remember that. That I remember.
And then he was loaned out again to Lecce, where he had 27 appearances and 1 goal, and that 1 goal must have been the penalty. He scored against Milan and celebrated like a madman.
My God, he must have disliked that move. You know, one day he's off to Bayern Munich and the other day he's off to Lecce.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I would have celebrated like a madman.
But he only had 56 appearances for Milan, Massimo Oddo. I feel like he had more. 135 appearances for Lazio. Topical.
Yeah, people like sharing Milan and Lazio. There's Nesta, there's Romagnoli,
Bro
there's
had
Oddo.
Napoli as well. But he was even at Monza in 1996.
Jesus
Oddo.
Christ,
Yeah, quite the
Oddo.
career.
Man's been around. I think Udinese showed glimpses of promise in this game. They still struggle to get the ball into the back of the net, man. I do believe that is where their main struggle comes, because they are a compact unit. They are tight. That midfield, Pajero, Wallace and Lovrich, you know, they're very compact. Their back three of Christensen, Newen Perez and Joao Ferreira, very compact and very efficient at defending. They every single time someone plays Udinese, it's rare that you see them beat Udinese 4-0 and totally blow them out of the park. It's always a battle, and we always talk about them being a very physical side. There was that stat that over the past few years they were on average the tallest side in Serie A as well. It's always a tough outing, but Lazio did very well to hold their own and get the victory. over
And to
them.
neutralize Lorenzo Lucca as well by pressing him and cutting his passing lanes. If you look at Lucca, okay, granted he had his aerial duels 1, his ground duels mostly 1 as well. Possession loss only 10, which isn't too bad, but he only had 18 touches. So if you have 18 touches, you lose possession 10 times, and 36% of your passes are actually completed. That's a striker's shutdown, right?
Yeah.
And
it's stopping him from getting the ball.
Stopping him from holding up play as well.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Exactly. Just one question before we move on. Guendouzi, Rovella, Kamada in midfield, 3 new faces.
Kill, marry, fuck.
Sure, bro.
That's not. But you can, and DM us.
What did you make of their performances and this balance that they have going on?
I mean, we've said that Kamada has kind of struggled and that he's been more of a bystander in these games. And I don't think he stood out this game at all. He wasn't very involved to me,
No.
in my opinion. Rovella, however, I think looks mature beyond his years. I thought that he was very involved as the metronome. He took a few risky passes, which he managed as well. He lost possession a few times, but overall, I would say that it's quite a promising performance by him. And Guendouzi, I'm just impressed by. I like the way Guendouzi settled into the Lazio side, and I think of all the signings, he's the one who's hit the ground running best.
Yep, I think so. I think so. Well, it's easy to notice his work ethic, his tackling, and his the box to box nature,
and his willingness to learn and to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. As for the league standings, I'm pulling a bit of a Jake over here. Lazio are in 7th on 30 points, while Udinese in 16th on 17 points.
Yes, Bologna drew 1-1 to Genoa.
Dropping points again, Bologna.
Bologna dropped points again, yes, and it's not an easy place for them to play in their own stadium against Genoa, as their last 5 home matches against Genoa have not seen a Bologna victory. There
Jesus.
have been 3 draws and 2 losses.
Christ, that was a bet, man.
Hey. But then you know what it is, man. They had a season in Serie B.
Yeah.
Genoa. So you're like, is it the same Genoa? But his history is never wrong, man.
Yeah.
Ravaglia was in goal this game for Bologna, once again. Posh, Lukumi, Calafiore and Lico Giannis were at the back. The double pivot was Moro and Freuler. And then, of course, was Orsolini, Fabian, Urbanski and Xerxes up front, with Urbanski getting the nod this time.
Yeah.
For Genoa, it was a 3-5-2 formation with Ekuban and Gudmundsson up front. Of course, Messias was out on the left and Sabelli was out on the right. Vogliaccio, Dragusin and Vasquez were at the back, with the midfield three as usual of Frendrup, Badel and Malinovsky. Now, so Bologna sought to recover from a recent defeat, of course, and they initiated the game with high intensity and high pressing. Orsolini's shot early in the game signaled Bologna's attacking intent, but Martinez's save denied them an early lead, and Martinez went on to have a fantastic game, the Genoa goalkeeper. Despite Bologna's possession dominance, they failed and struggled to find openings to penetrate Genoa's defense. Against the run of play, Genoa took the lead via Gudmundsson's free kick that found the net. Vogliaccio ducked out of the way to basically block the goalkeeper's view, and then suddenly just duck, and out of nowhere a ball's flying at the goalkeeper.
And on the bounce, keep in mind it's been raining.
Yeah, it changed speed.
On the bounce over there, it just flew, and then picked up so much speed.
Yeah, it was a great goal.
This is trippy because we're speaking about Bologna and we're watching Bologna-Fiorentina. Orsolini just hit the post, by the way.
Damn. Bologna, of course, reacted sluggishly to going behind. They found it challenging to muster a swift response. Xerxes tried and tried, but his attempts were thwarted and the team couldn't create any clear chances, except for one weak shot, if I remember correctly, that was handled comfortably by Martinez. In the second half, of course, Bologna upped their attacking impetus a little bit. He made a triple substitution, bringing in Salamakers, Christensen and Abusher for Urbanski, Moro and Lico Giannis. I must say that I really like the way Salamakers has been playing for Bologna lately. I like the way he passes the ball into space, but kind of casually, and like it looks as if he's going to hold the ball and he just launches it into space, like just a meter or two in front of him. Like that's he's playing very intelligently.
One thing I thought about when watching this game was, because obviously one team has Salamakers and the other team has Messias, and I'm like, look at these guys with Serie A champions in their team. That makes a difference, bro. It makes a difference.
Yeah. In fact, it was Salamakers who tried to push down the left flank. He delivered many crosses into the box. However, some of them did lack a little bit of precision, of course. In the 75th minute, Calafiore headed the ball into the back of the net, but it was disallowed, adding to Bologna's frustration. Genoa introduced Retegui, but they did not actually attempt to attack anymore. They adopted a defensive stance. They sat deep and they defended in their own half, with Retegui pressing as the spearhead. Calafiore shot from long range. It was all Calafiore, man. They were sitting so deep, Genoa, that he kept getting the ball from out of the box and just having it. Yeah. He's got a shot, huh? Don't get it twisted. Calafiore can hit it from range. And this shot, particularly towards the end of the game, forced Martinez into a fine save. He also had a great save on Xerxes towards the end as well.
Yep.
Bologna's persistence eventually paid off when a corner was delivered. De Silvestri went to head it. But he missed it. It came as far as Salamakers, who squared it cleverly to De Silvestri, who launched the ball into the back of the net. A player I really like, De Silvestri, a very powerful and just a strong, dangerous player back in the day.
Yeah.
He was so dominant on the flank when he was younger. Nowadays, he's kind of moved on to be a behind-the-scenes leader, but it's nice to see that when he's introduced, he can make the difference, and he can still contribute to the team. I love the way he's celebrated. I love what a beast he is, quite frankly.
It's his second goal
he's
of the
massive.
season, no? The
It is.
Silvestri.
I believe it might be. He definitely scored one last season against all odds, but it might be his second goal this season as well. I'm not too sure. What I do wonder is who would win in a fight between him and Baschirotto.
Between De Silvestri and Baschirotto. I think
Because Baschirotto's got
takes it.
size over him, but De Silvestri's got that dog. You know?
He got that dog.
Yeah, he's
he
a
definitely
beast,
got
you
that
know.
dog.
That wasn't all, by the way, for the game, because at the end, Goodmanson had a free kick towards the end of the game, probably the last action. And he struck it and basically hit the crossbar. I wasn't sure if the goalkeeper had saved it, but I think he got a fingertip and it hit the crossbar, or it just hit the crossbar. But he got very, very, very close to scoring a winner, which would have been crazy.
By the way, confirmed, this is De Silvestri's, my God, De Silvestri's second goal of the season.
Wow. That's more than some strikers. Two great sides over here, in my opinion. Two sides who play very intelligent football, two sides who adapt to their opponents. So it was a chess match throughout the whole game, both teams shifting and trying to adapt and trying to dissect each other. You know, I thought it was great. Man, Thiago Motta and Alberto Gilardino, I tip my hat to you guys.
Yes, beautiful. That's what you get when you've got two young, progressive managers at very different teams. And when I say that, I mean that Bologna are somewhat of an established team in Serie A, and they just keep attempting to get better and better and better. Genoa, on the other hand, a newly promoted team with a bunch of new players in their system, and they want to survive. That is what Genoa want this season.
And I see you commenting in your car, wherever the fuck you are. All right, yes, Bologna are a more established side in Serie A nowadays.
Yes,
we know
yes.
Genoa's history.
Of course,
we know
come on.
all that. Come on.
I love how we called them out and they didn't say shit.
I got you, bro. They were texting. They picked up their phone and everything. I can tell you. I can guarantee.
Don't text and drive. but this was the result of two young progressive managers, one with a Genoa team that wants to stay up, and the other one with a Bologna team who they're testing their limits at the moment. Is it Champions League? Is it Europa League? Is it Conference League? What is it? And this was the result, a beautiful encounter. Genoa shocked us by taking that lead through Goodmanson.
The stats, bro. Can I just read you the
Yes,
stats
go
very
for it.
quickly? So Genoa 29% ball possession, 2 shots, 1 shot on target, XG of 0.08, and they drew the game.
My God.
Bologna looked really happy at the end, obviously, because they scored the late equalizer, but it should be Genoa who are happy with this, because this was literally a Catenaccio masterclass, you know?
Away from home as well, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually takes them up to 12th with 21 points. They're doing very well in their first season back, Genoa. They have a nice project, of course, American owners. I'm curious to see what they're going to do this January and the next year's market as well. And I'm curious to see what their ceiling is.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Bologna have now fallen to 5th with 32 points.
Sassuolo 1, Fiorentina 0.
What the hell?
So many bizarre results, this match day. The Viola were 4th in Serie A, preparing for a packed fixture list, including the Coppa Italia quarter-final with Bologna, which is taking place today, and the Super Coppa Italiana Final 4. Christian Kwame was at the African Cup of Nations with Nico Gonzalez, Sotil, Castrovilli and Dodo injured. Brecalo started on the right and then Zola started up top after refusing to join Angola at the African Cup of Nations and potentially facing sanctions. We'll discuss that later, and I, to be honest, I don't have too much information. I believe he knows he hasn't quite hit the ground running at Fiorentina and he wants to stay there and train and fall into
He
favor.
probably doesn't want to lose his spot to Beltran uncontested, right? Because that's what's going to happen if he goes to AFCON.
Yeah. The hosts crashed out of the Coppa with a 3-1 defeat to Atalanta midweek, while Defrel, Alvarez, Viña, Obiang and Racic were on the treatment table. In the 9th minute, Sassuolo got their one and only goal, nice and early through Pinamonti, who finished well after receiving a cutback from Pedersen, who was in a great position following a very intelligent pass by Henrique, just releasing that pass at the perfect moment to create a lot of space for Pedersen down that left-hand side. Thordsved doubled Sassuolo's lead in the 48th after pouncing on a loose ball following a corner. However, the referee cancelled the goal after a VAR check as Henrique was offside and interfering with play. In the 62nd minute, Fiorentina were awarded a penalty due to a Ferrari handball on Milenkovic's header. Is it a Sassuolo game if they don't give away a penalty? Bonaventura stepped up only to be denied by Consigli, who pulled off a great save. Great save, yet not a great hit by Jack either. In the 68th minute, Fiorentina had the ball in the back of the net through Martinez Quarta, who finished after Duncan's deflected volley struck the woodwork. Once again, this goal was chalked off after Quarta being spotted in an offside position in the build-up. In the 69th minute, Ferrari cleared Beltran's acrobatic strike off the line after Consigli came off his line and failed to deal with the ball adequately. Then, Consigli brilliantly saved Milenkovic's header on the resulting corner with Inzola scuffing the rebound wide. In the 92nd minute, a corner strike from a distance flashed just wide of Consigli's far post to allow Sassuolo to walk away with a 1-0 victory over fourth-placed Fiorentina and get a clean sheet as well while they were at it.
The first of the season.
Their first clean sheet of the season, Sassuolo. And they hadn't won since November.
Yeah, this team's just crazy, man.
I can't quite put my finger on it. But Fiorentina intrigued me in this game because their recent run of form, which consisted of them grinding out results by scoring early and then maintaining that 1-0 advantage, kind of bit them in the ass through Sassuolo, kind of flipping that and mirroring it. They managed to get that early goal in the 9th minute while Fiorentina were trying to defend. And then they really struggled trying to find that goal. Because keep in mind, Fiorentina are struggling significantly when it comes to going forward. That is why they're taking this approach. And over here, I do feel like they were exposed in that sense.
So they let them have the ball, essentially. Sassuolo just gave up possession. And we never see that. As you said, absolutely. So that early goal probably fucked up all of Fiorentina's plans.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the stats, Sassuolo had 33% ball position. They had 7 shots, 1 on target, as opposed to Fiorentina's 9 and 3 on target. Now, for a team that conceded early and spent the entirety of the match trying to equalize and find a goal, how do you only have 9 shots as your output? One of them being a penalty, dog. One of them being a penalty that you missed.
I think that I've criticized Inzola heavily, and it's not exactly his fault. I just think that the scouting department had a shocker because he doesn't fit the identity, he doesn't fit the approach that Italiano has, basically. He's a counter-attacking powerhouse. That's what he is. He's good to hold up plays, good to wait for his teammates. He's not that reference point up front in an offensive team, in my opinion. Jonathan Icona and Brecolo are 2 good players, 2 tricky players, but they're very similar, and they're not exactly good against a low block. They're much better when they have space.
In fact, Brecolo really struggled in this match.
Bonaventura, if he has an off day, it's not exactly pretty. We know what that's like. We saw him a lot at Milan. We've seen him at Fiorentina. He's a very good player on his day, but when he has an off day, he's one of those players that his off days are terrible.
Yeah.
And not everything seems to come off at all for him. Let's see if this was one of those games, statistically at least 73% accurate passes, 47 touches. He wasn't that involved at all. Despite winning most of his ground duels, because then that's what he has, Bonaventura. He's going to fight till he dies.
Exactly. With that being said, clearly they're struggling with, like you said, those 2 that they have up front. Now it's January. Should they be making acquisitions up front?
I think they could get a player in that 10 position to help Jack Bonaventura a bit, reveal him a bit of his duties. And I think that if an opportunity comes to get a striker in, I think they should. I know they've got Jovic on the books still, so it's very unlikely that they do. They've got Nzola, they've got Beltran. However, that's the department that's lacking for them right now. You know, you look at the defense, apart from some centre-back depth that could be improved, it's fine. Coyote is great, Bragi solid, Milenkovic and Martinez Quarta good. They have Yerry Mina, who hasn't quite hit the ground running at all.
Not yet,
He's
no.
struggled with injuries, but he has been featuring a little bit. But it's that offensive department that something's missing. They need a creative player. Funnily enough, and I know I'm a meme for always mentioning him, but that's what Saponara provided. Saponara gave them a different dynamic to the game, and when you add a splash of IQ to this fucking team, they somehow managed to pierce through defenses that they wouldn't have managed otherwise. Because right now they're all about trickery and pace, but there's hardly any player there that can play.
Bro, Saponara gets you the ball in the box, which is what Fiorentina are struggling to do.
Exactly.
9 shots in a game where you were 1-0 down in the 9th minute.
Yeah.
Nah, that's what Saponara had good.
Also, by the way, where is he? Like, he hasn't been on the bench.
bullshit.
He started a game and then he disappeared 3 games.
Don't worry, we said no. It's free to start a football club in Malta.
Yes.
Let's fucking bring him in, bro.
Bring him in.
I think they need a striker. Definitely need.
It's a complicated thing though for them to bring in a striker,
Why?
because they've got Jovic on the books still and they've just brought in 2.
They loan one in.
And it's not I mean,
They do something.
I would have
bro.
even tried for Colombo or something, you know,
Right?
Like get them on loan.
They have now as well. Like you said, they definitely need a vice for Jack that could play as a number 10. But also, you remember we used to talk about this depth that Fiorentina have on the wings. So Nico and Sotilla are injured, and what are we left with? Who are the wingers? Tell me.
It's Giorco and Brecolo.
Give me a break.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
As in, this team is 4th. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They're not doing a terrible job, but because their defense is so fucking on point and their midfield is so on point. If I have to look at this performance and point out 3 great players for Fiorentina in this game, I'll go Milenkovic as that towering fucking centre-back of theirs. He's a beast. Milenkovic, he's really found his form again after a shaky season last season. Duncan, I did not know he was that good with the ball at his feet. His passing, his looping balls over the top.
He's even got a bit of prowess in front of goal as well.
Yeah. And Terracciano, who keeps making these miracle saves for Fiorentina. Otherwise, anyone in the more attacking region. Okay, now Sassuolo took that low block that, for example, Milan always struggle against, and Milan have got Leao, Pulisic, Giroud, and they struggle against the low block. So naturally, this team is going to struggle against the low block as well. But they didn't manage to create anything in this game against Sassuolo's defense.
Yeah, and that's it, man. No creativity. If Bonaventura had an off day, there's no one else there who's capable of playing a clever through ball.
I mean, props to Sassuolo as well.
Yes,
because they
Sassuolo.
shut up shop and they didn't allow Fiorentina the slightest of chances. They had a penalty, Fiorentina, they missed it. Sassuolo had a disallowed goal, they could have gone 2-0 up. Fiorentina, okay, had a disallowed goal as well. A lot of VAR controversy and drama this week. But Sassuolo, right after we said that Dionisi should be getting the sack, they managed to pull this off. Their first clean sheet of the season.
But they lose Tolian and Berardi in the process through injury.
Yeah.
So quite a tax for that victory over there.
Robin Hood.
There we go.
Here we are. Sassuolo are in 14th on 19 points. They are 5 points over Verona in 18th place, while Fiorentina maintain their 4th spot after Bologna failed to win. On 33 points, they're 6 behind Milan and 1 ahead of Bologna.
Frosinone looked to be getting smashed by Monza, bro. 3-0. Frosinone at home. Monza up 3-0 comfortably. Turati was in goal, of course, for Frosinone, which explains why maybe 3 goals were put past him. He's not been having a great season.
Honestly.
Poor guy. Luzwardi, Okoli and Monterisi at the back with Lirola out on the right, Gelli out on the left, Berenche and Haroui in the middle with Shedira up front. Reiner has come back, he's playing on the left, and Sule was playing on the right. And Sule had a very mixed bag of a performance for this game.
To say the least.
Yeah, Di Gregorio was in goal for Monza for most of the game, but he did go off injured and he will be out for a month. Caldirola, Gagliardini and D'Ambrosio were at the back, of course. Monza having to utilize two non-centre-backs at centre-back to deal with their crisis. Pereira out on the left, Churia out on the right, Bondo and Pessina in the middle with Colpani and Carboni playing behind Mota. Carboni, by the way, Valentin Carboni. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
The match saw early threats from Monza. Of course, they were dribbling, they were shooting, they were doing what Monza do.
Parking, dribbling, scoring.
In the 6th minute, Colpani almost scored. And in the 18th minute, Mota managed to capitalize on a Valentin Carboni assist, penetrating through the defense and easily beating Turati to put Monza up 1-0.
Yeah, he did the Leao villain celebration.
Yeah, the clown.
Yeah.
That's a great
celebration. It must be so annoying.
Totally. Not as annoying as Jean Drey's celebration this week, by the way.
I still need to bring that up. Don't you worry.
Okay, you have something prepared, I assume. Yes. Frosinone, they had a chance to equalize in the 24th minute through a Chedira header off a Gelli cross, but it sailed high, albeit there were suspicions of offside, but the flag did stay down. It was quite a massive miss over there for Chedira. Technical issues interrupted the VAR system temporarily, causing a halt in the match. Classic. Frosinone came close to leveling the score with Sule's free kick, brilliantly parried away by Di Gregorio at the half-hour mark. He was substituted, Di Gregorio, after a collision with Haroui in the 41st minute. Just before half-time, Monza doubled their lead. This time it was Mota returning the favour to Valentin Carboni, who managed to score, making it 2-0. To Frosinone. To Monza, sorry, not to Frosinone.
Di Gregorio wanted to stay on. I don't know if you noticed. He stayed on for a bit and then he's like, fuck it, I need to get the hell out.
He's a warrior, a gladiator.
Yeah.
Man, I remember the first time I ever watched Di Gregorio play football.
I thought you were going to say the first time you ever watched Gladiator. I was like, what the hell?
I'm not a big fan of Gladiator. I'm joking, I just haven't seen it. Yes, the first time I watched Di Gregorio, I was dog sitting at Dan's, bro. I was sat at his kitchen table. Dan,
I remember.
Sarah's brother.
I remember.
And
you added
the
like
game
that.
on it was a Serie B. It was a Serie A playoff from Serie B. The time that Monza didn't make it through. So it was 2 years ago.
I remember.
And I thought to myself, this guy in goal, I'm going to be honest, I thought to myself, this ginger guy in goal for Monza is incredible. Incredible.
In fact, when he benched Cranio, you weren't too surprised,
Yes.
I remember.
Because I remember being so disappointed that Monza brought in Cranio. Because I'm like, they have a great goalkeeper already. And I'm like, there's no chance that Cranio doesn't bench this guy. But he didn't, and Di Gregorio has improved and improved.
Wow,
and improved.
that Serie B. Monza was with Kevin Prince Boateng,
Exactly.
Balotelli up front. Crazy.
Insane, to be honest. In the second half, Di Francesco made tactical substitutions for Frosinone. He brought in Caso and Mazzitelli for Reiner and Lirola, respectively. Sule moved to a deeper midfield position. An unfortunate own goal by Sule in the 56th minute extended Monza's lead to 3-0, meaning that 2 of the goals that Frosinone conceded were actually thanks to a Sule error. Sule.
Crazy own goal by Sule from outside the box, man.
Yeah.
Almost. He slid to intercept a pass. Turati, obviously, when the ball moves, he runs with the ball, like he always does with ball. He was out of position and the ball rolled into the back of the net.
Yeah, Haroui narrowed the scoreline a minute later with an excellent finish. The match got even more intense as Caputi awarded Frosinone a penalty in the 74th minute for D'Ambrosio's challenge on Caso. Would you believe that my defense on Fantacalcio consists of D'Ambrosio, Mazzocchi, and fucking who else was there? Someone... I can't remember right now, but 3 guys made massive mistakes for me, giving away fucking penalties or getting sent off.
That's because you spent 1 credit on your defenders.
Yes, it didn't quite work out this year. Usually it works out nicely. Sule converted the penalty to make it 3-2. There were 15 minutes left, but Monza shut up shop perfectly. And Frosinone couldn't quite penetrate them, and the match ended 3-2. That's what you get when you make too many mistakes. That's what you get when you have too many youth players. That's what you get, man, in general.
Yeah. Not Frosinone are never down and out, eh? And that's like the tail of the tape here. Their defense, as we know, leaves a lot to be desired. They're not a very organized side defensively. Because they are so offensive, and Monza took advantage of that. They were 3-0 up by the 55th minute, I believe. Yeah, by the 55th minute, they were 3-0 up. But Frosinone are never down and out. They keep attacking to the very, very last second. And there was a second that I thought that they were going to find that equalizer.
Yes, I've mentioned this before on the pod, of course, but I'm going to say it again because it's so impressive that it deserves to be mentioned. When Monza were bought by Silvio Berlusconi, 2 players that are currently on the squad were already there. These players are Dani Mota and what's his name? Machine.
The Machine.
These guys were playing in Serie C.
Crazy,
right?
bro.
Now they're in Serie A. They both feature Dani Mota more, obviously, than Machine. But Dani Mota doesn't look like a player who was playing in Serie C 4 seasons ago.
He was struggling in the opening stages of the season. He hadn't scored in ages, but now he's
not really a prolific goal scorer, he's more of a tricky flair player. But he does have the technique to make a difference in this league, man, and he's doing very well. And respect to him because he managed to work hard and to climb with his team. Most people would have said, "Oh shit, the club's been taken over. I no longer have a role here."
Yeah.
So respect to him. Monza currently stand in 11th with 25 points, while Frosinone are in 15th with 19 points.
Let's move on to the last game, bro. Lecce 1, Cagliari 1. The Salentini were relatively comfortable mid-table, but sliding down after back-to-back defeats to Inter and Atalanta, while the Sardinians remained in the bottom 3. Hamza Raffia, Tuba, Banda and Luvumbo were at the Africa Cup of Nations, plus Sansone, Dermaku, Yankto, Lapadula, Capradossi, Shumorodov and Rog out injured.
Who are bros?
Now, captains Strefezza and Nandes shook hands, and had it not been for Nandes's Viking beard, I would have thought that these were the captains of the under-12 teams with their combined height of 4 feet and 6 inches. Udon hit the post from distance in the 14th minute with what seemed to be a mishit. Jean-Drey headed in an Udon corner in the 31st minute and did my favourite celebration of the season so far. I don't quite know how to describe it.
Crash Bandicoot.
Was it Crash Bandicoot? Do you think it was Crash Bandicoot?
I don't think it was, but it gave me those vibes. He kind of...
It gave me Crazy Frog vibes as well. Like, ning, 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 ning.
That's a good...
Or
like Thriller.
Thriller as well.
I don't know what the hell that was, man.
But some way to celebrate your first goal.
It made me a little bit uncomfortable. Imagine never scoring in Serie A for the first time and doing that.
I like it, man. I like it. Good celebration,
but a very interesting person, because I would lose my mind.
After seeing that, he's officially Gendry. He's no longer Jean-Drey, because
Jean-Drey wouldn't have done that.
You think Jean-Drey celebrates like that? Jean-Drey hits the griddy maybe every now and then. Gendry, that's what he does. Kristovic had the opportunity to score with an open net in the 37th minute following another Lecce corner, but instead his strike went out for a throw-in.
I don't know how he managed that, bro. It's like I cursed this guy.
It went out for a throw-in, bro.
It's like
crazy.
I cursed him, man, my God. That was such a terrible miss. Like, he's changed as a player, man. His confidence has been shot.
Yeah. In the 67th minute, Oristanio got to the end of an inch-perfect in-swinging free kick by Nicolas Viola, and for a second it looked like Falcone kept the youngsters half-volley out with a tremendous save, but goal-line technology indicated that the ball had crossed the line. In the 70th minute, Falcone, the main character, did extremely well to deny Prati's strike from distance with a one-handed diving stop. So... it was a good game. I think when watching this game, I thought that Lecce probably deserved to get more out of the game. But Cagliari did a good job to get that 1 point that they were seeking. When you look at the stats of the game, Lecce had 15 shots, 2 on target. And Cagliari had 14 shots, 2 on target. So when you look at it from that basic perspective, it was a very even game. However, I do feel like that Lecce were controlling the tempo more, and they were more dangerous when it came to free kick scenarios, corner scenarios.
The more organized side, funnily enough, because this is a Ranieri team we're talking about, but the quality is and the Serie A experience is less on that Cagliari side. I was impressed with Petagna's performance. I thought he held up play well and knocked the ball down very well. I thought Viola was okay as well. Oristano, I did not expect to get on the end of that free kick. Very happy for him to get his goal, the man on loan from Inter. And Nathan Nandes had a pretty good game, managing to get some crosses on target.
Nathan Nandes had a very good game. I was very happy with Nandes' performance, rolling back the years over there. And then he ended up on the left at some point. He did a good job over there. It's interesting because I said, Lecce are typically the team that dominate when it comes to the set play scenarios. But it was Cagliari that actually managed to get the goal through a set play over there. Almost denied by Falcone, but wasn't quite enough. Lecce, they find themselves in 13th on 21 points. Ooh, you're getting impatient with me, trying to win some time.
I know, we have, 3 minutes left?
Cagliari in 17th on 15 points. So if you've made it this far, guys, thank you very, very much for listening. We've been Serie A Spotlight. We'll be back next week. Don't forget to check out our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We've got our giveaway live at the moment, and we have got quite a great piece of content coming out in the next few weeks as well.
Stay tuned.